Well, I've decided to climb up here again. This time I've left a marker on my phone on my GPS, and I've tried to take note of my coordinates and so on and landmarks, so I think I should be fine this time. Yeah, sun's just rising now. Well, I've just been looking around, having a squeeze, and I found a cave. Could have slept here last night. It's pretty cute. Doesn't go very deep, but yeah, quite an interesting sort of formation. It's even got a little peephole. Well, I've made it back to my camp with help from my GPS, and excuse me, I'm a bit grubby. I don't know if you can see, but have a look at that. Got some charcoal stains all over me from running through the area. It's all been burnt. So now I've got to pack up my tent and head off to Rollston and find somewhere to wash these clothes. Found myself a little bug, but I'm not sure what he is. He jumps like a grasshopper. Pretty docile. Well, I'm all packed up here, and now it's time for some mountain biking to get down to the road. It's like you blink and then you're in the tropics. It's crazy. Really changes a lot when you drop down there over the range.
In hindsight, I wish I'd been more careful with the footage I took this day because it was such a beautiful place. There were lots of Brahman cattle running through grasses taller than them. As I rode by, I wondered about how overstocking would work in the tropics and what proportion of the grasses were edible.
Being in such an incredibly beautiful place makes me want to just sit around and do nothing. But I've got over 100 kilometers to cycle today, so can't really afford to do that. It's a long way, a far cry from the deserts or the drought-stricken regions of northern New South Wales and southern Queensland. Wow, everything is just so wet and so green. Well, here's the sign for Carnarvon Gorge, which is down that way. And we've also got the first planted crops that I've seen since St. George. Yeah, a bit interesting. Anyway, it's about 60 something k's to Rolleston, maybe a bit less, I don't know, something about that. Yeah, so you've got to be careful when you go running through the bush. Well, I'm 50k from Rolleston here. Rolleston. And this road just keeps going straight for kilometres and kilometres and kilometres and kilometres. I've already been on it for about 15, like this particular section. And it's just, yeah, they've just chosen a line and cut straight through the landscape. Anyway, I'm completely out of water. In my two 1.5 litre bottles. I think I'm just going to go and use the emergency water, because that'll get me through. But yeah, the change of weather has meant that I've needed a bit more water than previously, so I'm going to have to adjust, maybe get an extra bottle. Although this is the biggest distance between towns on the whole trip as far as I know. So yeah, 190k here. So the 3 litres that I'm carrying should probably do from here on.
It turned out my emergency bottle had been slightly open, so most of the emergency water had leaked out as I'd been riding, leaving me with about 250 ml on which to travel the next 50 kilometres. So I decided to make a conscious effort to spare it and not exert myself too much.
Well, I'm just about 20 k's out of Rolleston, just fresh out of water completely. So I'm going to have to go for the next hour or so without water. Look at those landslides over there. There's that one. And then there's that one. There's another one there too, I think. Wow. Anyway, the next hour is going to be probably uncomfortable, but I'll survive.
As I got closer to Rolleston, I rode through a band of roadside cattle that was about 10 kilometres long. The headwinds became worse and worse in tandem with my thirst, and when I finally got to Rolleston's park, I must have downed about 2 litres of water. The only footage I took in town was of some blokes in thongs putting a couple of mining cars on the back of a semi-trailer. I headed over to the service station, which doubled as a general store, in search of food, but the options were limited and expensive. So I bought what I needed and headed out of town to find a campsite.
Well, that's another day drawing to a close. There's a national park a little way up, which I'll probably stay at, maybe 8 kilometres from here. There's a national park right here. The problem is that it's fenced. It's entirely fenced with barbed wire. 3 layers of barbed wire. Fortunately, look how good this roadside is. It's a good 50 metres until the fence. So I've put my bike there. And the fence is over here. So, given how little traffic there is, I might just set up camp here. I've even got reception. Perfect. That's another day done. This is my kind of climate. I like it. I don't know. Haven't been bitten by too many mosquitoes yet. In the middle of the day, it's a bit intense. The sun is a bit too much. But what I've learned is if you ride in the morning and evening, Those are the best hours. Maybe take a rest during the day or something. The wind dies down at this time. There's no wind right now, and it was a horrible headwind going in to Rolleston. And listen to those bugs. Yeah, today's been a really good day. Apart from that headwind and running out of water, I've enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, there were a couple of moments where it wasn't so safe. Between the rest stop that I was at yesterday, which is just after the Arcadia Valley turn-off, between there and about, for the next 50 k's after that, so until after the Carnarvon Gorge turn-off, there's really good shoulder on the road. But other than that, there's pretty much none. So, I don't know. Would I recommend the Carnarvon Highway? Depends. There's some really nice views halfway through. But, yeah, a lot of dodgy stuff as well with traffic and so on. So, it just depends what people are after. Anyway, tomorrow it's off to Springsure and then Emerald. The shop back there at Rolleston had no competition. It was a tiny little general store. I spent $22 and it's the most expensive shop I've ever done. I got very little for my $22. But that's what happens when there's no competition in a market, hey? Monopoly. I don't know. Tomorrow I'll do a proper shop in Springsure or Emerald. So we'll see. Found some ancient Queensland rock art. Well, this is the staircase ranges. These are the staircase ranges. This is the lookout. Not the best lookout because there are trees in the way, but it's a lookout nevertheless. Over here there's quite an interesting mountain. Kind of a volcano dome sort of shape. Anyway, I had to climb up that road down there, which took a while, and in this heat, full sun, was a bit sweaty, but I guess I get to descend now.
As I descended the staircase range on the way into Springsure, I was greeted by yet another ancient, worn-down mountain range, but this one was more impressive. The Minerva Hills, as they're known, form quite the picturesque backdrop for such a sleepy little town.
Well, I'm a bit of an idiot. I arrived here at about 11 o'clock and spent the next... Well, I'm here in Springsure, by the way. Yeah, I arrived here at 11 o'clock and spent the next hour and a half chatting with the ladies at the tourist information centre. And then I asked about electricity and if there would be power points at the library, and they said, yeah, there would be, but it closes at 12. Oops. So I said, oh well, I'll go shopping. The one supermarket in the town, the Spar, closes at 12:30. So everything's closed. Although maybe that bakery over there isn't. I'm going to go and look. Emerald's about 60 k's away, I think. I've got a little bit of food with me still and plenty of water, so I'll be fine, but it's a bit I feel like a bit of an idiot, but anyway, we'll make do. Well, this is the main street of Springsure. and it's an absolutely gorgeous mountain range in the background there. Reminds me of Mount Wellington in some ways, just the way the light is falling. And it's really hard to communicate just how out of the way this place is. There's just no one around. Like, this shop is open, but that's the only thing open at the moment. But just this whole part of Queensland, about the only towns there are supported by, well, apparently there's a little bit of cotton growing and wheat growing around. The ladies at the Tourist Information Centre told me. But it's that, it's cattle, and it's mining. There's nothing else. A little bit of tourism. So the towns here are small, really small. Anyway, on to Emerald, which is apparently, it's about 60 k's, and there's a national park on the way which I might camp at tonight. I was hoping to be able to find a library sometime, but today's Saturday, tomorrow's Sunday. I don't know if they're open Sundays at all, so otherwise I'll have to wait until Monday and use their PowerPoints then to charge my laptop. I have to say, I actually really like this town. I love the mountain, and the people are funny. I just saw the cutest thing actually, which was a tradie dad in his high-vis stuff, pulling his little son along. Dad was on a bicycle and his son was on one too, with training wheels, and there was a string between them. It was so cute. A lot of people on bikes here actually, a lot of kids riding around on their bikes, and I've seen a few adults on bikes too, which is strange for such a small town in Queensland. Oh, here they come.
No, we'll just stay on here, not go there. Turn that around. Turn the front, not correct. Turn around. Is this good normal?
Just riding over to Emerald here, and that looks like a coal mine. First one I've actually seen. Just out here in the grasslands. Well, I thought this was a disused railway, but I think there's actually a train. I think there's actually a train coming. This is the Minerva coal mine down here. You can see the dust and so on. Over here seems to be where all the coal is held, and I don't know if there's any processing, but that will be where it's loaded onto the train as well, I presume. And I've got the nice mountains in the background. Here comes the train. The primary locomotives heading down to the facility there. And we've also got 2 secondary locomotives here. They'd be controlled by a computer. And it's an exceedingly long train. I haven't counted the cars, but one of the longest I've seen. Looks like the train does a big circuit around there and then comes back to the facility. Anyway, there's the end of it, just over there. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna head on now. It's been an interesting spectacle. There's the mine over there again. I guess this is one of the main employers in the region. You can kind of see why. Well, there are 2 towns in this vicinity that only exist because of coal mines, and they're some of the largest towns as well. They're bigger than Emerald. Dysart and Minerva. There are probably more actually, but those are the ones I know of because I'm thinking about going through them. It's massive, this industry. And yeah, you can see why people are kind of annoyed that all of this industry is going to be... Well, the coal industry is on its way out. Because it's becoming uneconomical as a way of generating electricity. So, yeah, you can see why people are annoyed about that.
What I'd thought was a state reserve turned out to be a private nature conservation trust property, so I just headed down a little side road and set up camp by the roadside to avoid trespassing. It was a pretty peaceful location. I think only a single vehicle went past me the whole time I was there.
There was a big pig sleeping just north of my campsite last night, but I have come to look for tracks and things and I can't find any. Unless this here is where they dig with their tusks or something. I assumed that those were kangaroo prints or something from a kangaroo hopping through, because there's one there, there's one here. They're all over the place actually. And I can't find any footprints from pigs either, but it was definitely a pig. I could hear it snoring and grunting and squealing a little bit. Oh well, I'm going to try and get to Emerald before the sun gets too high, which isn't going to work. It'll be 12 o'clock by the time I get there, I think, but whatever. And then I get to hang around Emerald all day and wait till tomorrow when the library will be open so that I can charge some stuff, which I really need to do.
At this point in the trip, I was well and truly on the recovery from my flu and also seemed to be getting much stronger in the legs. I pushed myself on the ride from Jindy to Emerald, and it only took me an hour and a quarter, averaging all of 37 k's an hour. This was without a tailwind too. The air was pretty still. Really surprised myself there. With a population of almost 15,000, Emerald turned out to be much bigger and also much more full of tourists than I expected.
I'm in Emerald here and I think I've found myself a flat earther. Well, I'm just here in Emerald and doing some washing. One more advantage to having waterproof panniers. You can use it as a washing sink. And have a look at this shirt that I've been wearing. How grubby is that? I don't know if you can see that. So grubby. So I'll wash that last, I think, to save the water from getting too dirty. And then I've got the drivetrain to clean as well. So plenty of things to keep me occupied today while I wait till tomorrow when the library is open.
I think Surat was the last time that I had a shave, or a shower too, so.
I've just finished doing the washing. Gosh, it's a slow process. It took me probably 2 and a bit hours. And so I've got things hanging on the bench here. And yeah, now it's time to clean the bike. Well, that's the drivetrain clean. It's very quiet. It's very quiet indeed. Sun's just setting in about an hour. So I might go shopping now and then head down to the campsite at the river. There's a free campsite there with a lot of backpackers and things. I haven't used one of those, but I think I'm going to try it out because it's that or wild animals again. Those pigs last night really disturbed me. Well, this is what it's come to. Camping under a bridge with a bunch of traffic going past. And there are a million French backpackers here. Not sure why there are so many, but they've got their tents set up and vehicles over there as well. But it's close to town and I don't have to deal with wild animals. I do feel as though somebody's going to come and try and sell me some drugs though. Or maybe this is maybe someone else will come here to buy the drugs. I don't know. But yeah, tomorrow will be hopefully using Emerald Library's electricity, hopefully. Just in case you need any local mining services, you know, you've done a bit of prospecting on your land and maybe found some goodies.